And the chair now recognizes the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Clawson.
Thank you for the work you do. Thanks for coming and being willing to sit in the crossfire a little bit, and for your efforts to keep us safe. As I went through my own preparation for today's meeting, it felt like the VWP is yesterday's tool for today's world. And so at a 20,000-foot level, the question that kept coming to my mind as I worked it with my team, do we optimize yesterday's tool for today's world, or do we need to go to a new program altogether? Maybe that means, at one end of the continuum would be visas for everyone, could be less restrictive for that, would be more costly than what we currently do, and we would hear some pushback from the tourism industry and others. I'm not taking a position on that, but what I would like is for you to take a position on whether you feel we should optimize yesterday's tool for today's world, or do we need to break the mold a bit here and look for something more current? Implied in my question, of course, is bang for buck. How much are we spending? How do we measure what we get for those expenses? I understand 300 caught, but I know you have more sophisticated ways of measuring what we are getting for our resources in this effort. So I'd like to hear all four of you answer how you feel, whether we ought to continue this current road, whether we can see around corners good enough with this information, or do we need to go to a new level to protect the future? Start with Mr. Miller. Thank you.
Sir, I agree with you. I think given the threat, we need to look at the information we're currently collecting, whether it's in the visa waiver program or other avenues, and then and take the appropriate action and decide if we need more information to collect. As Mr. Wagner pointed out earlier, as operators using our targeting system, generally more information is better as long as that we can collect it in the right way, given civil rights, civil liberties, privacy, and we're able to operationalize it.
I would just add that VWP is an important program. It does get us information sharing agreements and allows our close allies to share very important information with us that we're not getting from countries we don't have a VWP agreement with. It requires them to issue electronic passports, which helps secure the documents. It requires them to report lost and stolen passports to us. So there are other benefits of what the overall program does get us access to and some visibility into. Like Mr. Miller mentioned, we're taking a hard look at, are we collecting the right data elements, and what other information could we make use of, and how would we collect it, as we are with many of our programs. But I think the program does have value, but a good review and a side-by-side of what VWP versus the visa program, would offer and what types of benefits is always a good study to undertake.
Are we doing it? Is anybody doing that?
So we are reviewing the ESTA program. We're reviewing a lot of our different programs, as we constantly do in light of the different threats that arise. And, are there gaps in there? Are there gaps in the data collection? Are there gaps in how we connect our systems? So, yes, we are looking at a lot of these things.
Sir, and I would say that that's across the department. So the department leadership is really looking at all the tools that we have in our toolkit and how we can optimize them to make sure that we've got the data that we need and that we're stopping people from coming into the country who shouldn't be here. One of the tools that we have, if I could just highlight one that I think we're really trying to optimize, is our watch listing effort. So we are making a concerted effort within the department to share as much of our departmental data with our colleagues in the intelligence community to make sure that individuals are, in fact, put on the watch list. We in INA are responsible for that program on behalf of the DNI, and we do that for the entire department, working with our colleagues at CBP, TSA, and others. And over the last 3 years, we have significantly increased the number of nominations that we in the department have given to the intelligence community from about 4,000 2 years ago to well over 9,000 this year. So that is one example of how we are trying to optimize a tool that we have in order to stop travelers from coming.
And as I mentioned, we have our information sharing agreement with Visa Waiver Program partners. We are increasing and strengthening those information sharing agreements and arrangements. In addition to beyond Visa Waiver Program, we're expanding the number of those agreements, and we work very closely with our interagency partners on that watch listing information to make sure our foreign partners have that information as well. I think those are very strong tools.
I urge you and urge us to look at secondary and incremental and more than incremental efforts in this, in what we're doing here. I'm a user of global entry for my business before I came here. It makes me nervous that you all interview me, but you don't interview people that could be face-to-face, that could be somewhere in Europe, that could be wanting to come to our country. To my knowledge, I don't think we do that. Am I right about that? In the current ESTA program?
They would get interviewed upon arrival in the United States by a CBP officer, but there is no interview to issue that ESTA unless we have they come through a pre-clearance location where we would interview them before they get on board the plane, or unless some of our targeting systems and some of our analysis of their reservation data gave us cause for some type of reason to have our immigration advisory program officers, if they're coming through one of those 11 locations, talk to them before boarding and address any types of questions we have. So the possibilities there, and we are in a lot of VWP countries. We are in London, Heathrow. We are in Manchester. We're in Paris. We're in Amsterdam. We're in Frankfurt. Major gateways, major places of travel, especially for VWP travelers. So we have the opportunity, if our other systems do flag them for additional review or scrutiny.
Well, if you review and if you do a face-to-face with me, I would really love you to do it with potential bad guys coming from outside our country as well. Thank you for your answers.